Right, I am delighted to welcome back to the AWS Community Summit, Darren Hardman, VP for UK and Ireland of AWS. Darren, great to see you again. Thank you for joining us today.
Great to be here. It was great to kind of be back again after a year, and what a year it's been.
I know it is getting on for a year, actually. I think it was October last year you joined us for our second virtual event. And here we are, almost a year on. We're on to our fourth virtual event. Yeah, thanks, like I say, for joining us. We have got 6 questions for you today. So I'd like to dive into the first question. And it's all about AWS growth. And, it's incredibly rapid growth. And I wondered, what, in your opinion, are the main drivers, the main reasons for that growth?
Yeah, it's kind of timely. I think you saw in our Q1 results that in this, well, we're just 15 years actually, AWS has become a 54 billion annual sales run rate business, accelerating at 32% year over year. So it has been quite a journey, and that growth has clearly been linked to the fact that we're in the midst of a titanic shift to the cloud, and customers all shapes and sizes are moving to the cloud to support every imaginable use case. Why is that? I think we've often talked about the fact that cost has been a driver, and cost is important because, as this community knows, you can kind of just deploy, use what you need, stop using what you need quickly and stop paying for it if you're not using it, or actually manage a peak and scale up the time that you need it, avoiding capital expense that goes with owning that kind of legacy footprint, and enjoying a variable expense from us that is lower than virtually any other company could provide, because of the scale that AWS has and the fact that we're committed to just lowering prices. 15 years and 106 price reductions is pretty compelling. So cost has always been important, but interestingly, I think right now what we're seeing is that actually it's more than cost. It's about agility. We see a tremendous number of enterprises and governments moving to the cloud because of the agility and the speed it gives you, and in terms of supporting your customer experience. And especially in the last year, if you look at most of the companies with kind of on-premise infrastructure, and the fact that it can take you 3 months to get a server, and maybe double that if you're in the middle of a COVID crisis, that added to the need to build software, compute, storage, analytics around it, means that it just takes a lot of time. And in the cloud, as you know, you can provision thousands of servers in minutes, get access to over 170 of our services at the touch of a button, and get from idea into implementation, to get the pivot in your business to support the demands of your customers that may be feeling the effects of a pandemic, or having to change their practices. That's really important. Speed really matters. And in a world where reinvention is key, and when you're not reinventing, you're actually just dying. You might just not realize it yet. Speed, agility is critical. And so I think those things, that what the cloud offers, is just at the forefront of why we're seeing success in our own business.
Yeah, perfect. So yeah, you're touching there on migrations, which I've got a question around that, which I'll pick up with you in a little while. You also, of course, mentioned COVID, and I was interested to hear you tell us about how AWS has been involved over the last year in the fight against COVID.
Well, yeah, I think every one of our customers has had some sort of COVID-related, challenge on their business in the last year. And so in some ways, kind of the way our platform works is we've been supporting them to pivot quickly and to react quickly. But more specifically, I think we're really deep in collaboration with the healthcare industry, with the public sector, government agencies, life science businesses, just supporting all their own efforts around COVID-19, maybe specifically in the help with medical research, diagnostics, vaccines, these types of things. And I can't remember, I don't think we talked about it last time, but we launched the AWS Diagnostic Development Initiative, which is a program to support customers working to bring more accurate diagnostic solutions to the market around COVID-19, where we committed $20 million to give our customers a platform to harness the power of the cloud to help them just overcome that challenge and meet those needs. And so that was very successful. Here our AWS teams have been working hard with the public sector. In England, the NHS using AWS to analyze hospital occupancy levels, A&E capacity, waiting times, and just kind of manage that resource allocation question at the times of significant demands on the NHS, which was really important. And then, here in the UK, we have a world-leading genomics industry, and we've been assisting that industry using AWS to deliver next-generation genomics research in the fight against COVID-19. And this really important platforms giving researchers access to genomic data so that they can just better understand this virus and just better predict who's going to get ill and support their needs in this particular period. And so that continues to be an important fight against COVID that we're supporting in. And more practically, in local government, there's just tons of examples, but a good one is the London Borough of Hounslow, who launched a community support hub using Amazon Connect, which is our call center in the cloud. Their existing telephony system just couldn't manage the volumes that you can imagine landed during the COVID crisis. And so that hub was really focused on making sure that the most vulnerable residents were receiving the right information, food and supplies during the pandemic. And there's multiple examples of that kind of application of Connect that we've seen across the last year.
I'm hearing myself a lot of stories of customers taking up Connect and the transformative results that it's having for them. So a big adoption in that space. Changing subject, onto our next question around emerging technologies. What can we see in terms of that from AWS in the next year?
Yeah, well, you mentioned Connect, and I'll come back to that in a second, but I think it's probably best I start with machine learning and AI. This is just a considerable area of focus, and most customers that I'm working with are just really interested in the capabilities that machine learning has to offer. We know tens of thousands of customers are already running machine learning on AWS, and it's spurred by the continued investment and features around Amazon SageMaker. I think every reInvent, you see a whole collection of new releases in that regard. And while we've made, I think, quite an amount of progress in our customers using machine learning and AI, I think we're just at the beginning. We've got twice as much machine learning being run on AWS than you'll find elsewhere. Yet it's just really, really early. And so I think that's going to be an exciting space, and certainly a space we're seeing partners kind of go a little bit deeper on in terms of their specialization, because they see that momentum and opportunity ahead. The same as in Amazon Connect. We see that real kind of partner motion moving to the opportunities that Amazon Connect offers. Obviously, Connect, call center in the cloud, and the machine learning AI that sits on the back of that, because the insights that you need to serve those customers best is really important. Again, we've seen that kind of real push on certification and adoption by partners who are really kind of leaning in during this COVID crisis, because the kind of business case for Amazon Connect has just got stronger in the context of COVID. You can just imagine the need to suddenly shift call centers from physical locations, into the homes of those users has been really important. And we saw that in a good. With a partner who is actually called Connect with a 3 rather than an E, working with us at Morrison's, where Morrison's just wanted a more flexible, faster, cost-effective call center than the legacy could offer. in terms of serving their 11 million customers. And so in just 2 months, 8 weeks, Connect, working with Morrison's, shifted them from their legacy desk-based phones to Amazon Connect, and it really supported their kind of reaction to COVID-19, because it allowed them to just deploy more staff quickly, service those customers that were most vulnerable in need quickly and fast, and it is really important. We actually added the ML and AI technology to that as well now. So Amazon Lex is just giving them the kind of chatbot, transactional query capability, making the customer experience much richer. And so Amazon Connect at Morrison's is one example, but there are thousands of examples now across the globe where Amazon Connect has just, appeared and is having a massive impact. So a really big focus for us, and an area of investment for us as we look to the future.
Yeah, perfect. Looping back next to the topic of migrations that we touched on earlier, I've heard a lot of people talk about how 2021 is the year of migrations. You talked us through some of the reasons that you've seen behind why customers are accelerating their adoption of cloud. The cost aspects, the speed, the agility. I wanted to know if you've got anything else to add to that particular question, or indeed what advice, what guidance you would give to companies who are early stage or yet to make that decision to move to AWS. It's quite a multi-pronged question for you there, but
I'll do my best to cover that. And I think the first point is just that you're right, the year of migrations. And I think actually if 2021 is the year of migrations, because I think just many companies have just had the time to sit back and just reflect and think about strategically how they want to build out their future operations. The reality is that, a legacy has been built over many years, and you're sometimes just in that mode of operation. And maybe the pandemic was a time for people to sit back and actually say, look at all these competitors or digital natives who have scaled and innovated during COVID and maybe disrupted my business, or moved more quickly into other areas of opportunity because of what the cloud has offered. And we talked about that at the start, but that agility, that ability to pivot quickly and not be hampered by months, if not years, of time required to make those decisions. Companies that during COVID, when their revenues dropped 95%, their IT costs dropped 95% too. Yeah. When you've got legacy, that isn't the case. And so it's really kind of had companies really think about what they're going to do from a future IT state. And migrations is obviously the route to that. But migrations is interesting because, what we find is that most of the largest organizations, it's not really the technical proof point that they're looking for. It's not, is the cloud the right answer? Does it offer me what we need? It's actually more of a cultural question. It's more of a navigation question around the blockers and the cultural barriers that might exist within the organization. So actually, most of the time I'm talking to our customers, it's not necessarily about technology fit. It's about cultural and goal orientation. So first, have you got a senior leadership team top down that is aligned and committed to want to drive the transformation, the reinvention of the organization? Because if you don't, then you'll have middle management and other kind of layers of the business just putting unnatural blockers in the way to make that change happen. So the culture needs to be there to absorb the change. And then with that culture, you actually then need a bit of a top-down set of goals that just make sure you're on track. Because migration and reinvention is just about making sure you're taking the necessary steps and you're not unnaturally slowing yourself down. So that goal becomes important. Third, you've got to have the people in the organization who are comfortable to absorb that change. You've got to have the training and the skills. And this is why we train hundreds of thousands of people a year, to make sure that the skills are there so that they become advocates for that change and that they can feel like they're moving with that transformation as well. And then last, it's about just biting off what you can chew. It's not trying to boil the ocean. And we work with many customers, and our partners work with many customers, helping them understand that you don't have to move everything. You can actually set out a prioritization of the things when you want to move in the first instance, the second instance, and last, that might be the highest of the hanging fruit. And so not trying to boil the ocean, trying to get the benefits of the cloud across your applications as quickly as possible, but really understanding how you can stage gate that journey. And we work hard with our customers to say it's not all or nothing. There really is a lot of value you can realize by having a kind of staged approach to the journey.
Yeah, definitely. All of those points that you raised there, I'd entirely agree with. The sort of cultural, the business, as well as the technology aspects of migrations are key. We're running a roundtable actually later in this show, and I can guarantee those topics will all come up on that. Okay, so you've also talked a reasonable amount about partners, and that leads me into the next question, which is around what do you see as the big opportunities for partners and for customers at the moment and over the course of the next year?
Well, there's a lot of opportunity for partners in that sense. Partners is a massive priority for me in our business. It's the way we can scale, and it's the way that we can have the biggest impact on our customer base. So we continue to really give this a lot of focus and a lot of investment. In terms of opportunities for partners, and if it's an opportunity for a partner, then it's clearly an opportunity from a customer, because it's all about the kind of end value that we deliver. But one area which I think is particularly interesting is the AWS Marketplace. You don't know what this is. This is a curated kind of digital catalog that makes it really easy for customers to find, buy, and deploy third-party software. And it's really been quite a kind of magical growth in that particular part of our business, because Marketplace becomes this kind of valuable migration tool in a sense, because partners can kind of lean in to customers, deliver true procurement transformation, and become a trusted advisor on that kind of software lifecycle management service. And it really is amazing how many customers are discovering the Marketplace and using software from our key ISV partners that are building their solutions on AWS to just accelerate and augment their own journey to the cloud. So really excited to see more customers fulfilling orders through the Marketplace, and more partners supporting them in that particular journey. I'm also really excited about partners in the Northwest region. Obviously, I'm sure that's quite relevant to this group. Companies like Matillion and Peak just raising considerable, investment rounds, well on their way to unicorn status, and just companies playing a big kind of role building their solutions and their go-to-markets on AWS, and just helping our end customers, transform their businesses, because that's really what this is about. Tons of AWS's partners and customer success stories from this region, and businesses like Infinity Works and Mission Labs that are growing quickly, and also being acquired by large systems integrators as well. So really testament to the impact they're having. I do though have a kind of personal goal around the impact of the cloud in the North. There is no question that a wide disparity continues to exist between the impact of the cloud on businesses in the London area and also in the north of England. And we actually saw in a report that is probably about 6-9 months ago, that it was a report from Public First, and I blogged about it a lot on my LinkedIn channel. And so if you want to read this report, go to my LinkedIn, you'll find it somewhere. And it had a ton of interesting insight. But the thing that captivated me was that if we could get the north of England to match the cloud usage of London, then it would boost productivity and wages by 2.5 to 3%, and it equated to about 1.4 billion pounds of economic value. And so it kind of had me certainly talking to a lot of government officials and talking to a lot of local partners about the real opportunity to accelerate cloud adoption and have a real kind of impact on productivity in the UK in a kind of post-Brexit world where we really need to be pulling all the levers of value to drive forward the UK economy. So that kind of leveling up of cloud usage is really important, and we're really kind of hoping and relying on partners and those leaning into the cloud to help us do that in the north of England.
Yeah, that's really good. Very interesting. I do remember that report and the data around productivity and that increase in salaries. It's really powerful, very compelling.
Some of the great stats in that, which was I think 29 of the, no, it was 36 of the 50 fastest growing companies in the UK were building on AWS, and it was something like 29 of 30 of the unicorns across the UK built their solutions on AWS as well. So a really good report if you want to take a look at that. But also this whole north of England, we as a business are taking it very seriously. So, obviously we opened our corporate office in Manchester. We'll employ 6,000 people across the northwest. And in normal times, that office would be full of kind of garage startup exercises, places where many people on this call can network and share best practices and be a hub for both our customers and partners. So we certainly taking our focus in this region pretty seriously.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to that office in Manchester opening up again, and hopefully, you never know, being able to run perhaps an AWS meetup there in the not too distant future. Okay, Darren, on to our final question for you, and that is around what can we expect to see next from AWS, either in 2021 or beyond?
Yeah, so I touched on earlier when I was talking about Morrison's and Connect that we'll see this kind of accelerated adoption of cloud into pretty much how we live and work every day. Connect is just an example of how it's helping transform a kind of legacy call center industry, and I think we'll continue to see that with kind of workspaces and other solutions that are just kind of helping support this new normal. Obviously, software that runs in the cloud is pretty close to all of us in everything we do in all aspects of our lives: healthcare, transportation, retail, and a lot more. And so it's been pretty kind of pleasing and fulfilling for my team, but also for everyone that works with AWS, just to see the quite profound impact of the things that are running on AWS supporting both society and the economy over the last year. And so I think we'll see a lot more of that as we look forward. I think we'll also see small businesses kind of race to adopt the cloud to reach more customers. Just the ability of cloud to help them scale is fantastic. And so I think we'll see that kind of small business, kind of mid-sized enterprise really start to lean in even harder into the cloud over the next year. I think you'll see quite a lot of activity and investment from us in just trying to facilitate and kind of educate and support both those customers and our partners in having the skills and the insight and the confidence that they can make that journey. We've got the AWS Summit online on the 9th and 10th of June, a partner day on the 8th of June. We've got a Builders Day and an Innovators Day. And that summit, obviously traditionally it's been an in-person event, but we've had to pivot ourselves in the way we deliver this. But it's a really exciting session, keynotes from kind of local industry leaders, deep dive into education sessions, hands-on labs, chat with experts, the usual stuff you'd expect. So we're pretty excited about that particular event, AWS Summit Online, as well as a keynote from me to kick things off, as you can imagine. We've got also the AWS Digital Innovation Program. If you've not heard of this, take a peek on this. This is a week-long event where you can hear learnings and best practices from the digital innovation leaders across SMB businesses in the UK. So that's, I think, going out on the 6th of May, or you can register up until the 6th of May. And then just training and support, the skills gap, which we're invested in. I had a conversation just yesterday with the government departments around this, just how we're supporting to fill the skills gap using, AWS is a great mechanism for that. And we've announced that by 2025, we will help 29 million people globally grow their technical skills with free cloud training on AWS. And so a big focus on making sure that we take up our responsibility to educate that next kind of generation of IT leaders in the business. So all these events will continue to obviously put every ounce of strength that we have in helping our customers with their needs as we go forward, and just supporting them on that need to be flexible and agile in this uncertain world. And eventually, I hope that we'll be able to actually get out and start to meet with our customers in person towards the kind of autumn period. And so I'm hoping for normality to return, and for us to start engaging face to face on driving some of this stuff as well.
Yeah, likewise. I couldn't agree more. Okay, so Darren, that brings us to the end of this Q&A session. Thank you very much once again for joining us, taking the time out to come and answer our questions. I very much hope that we can invite you back in the future, and perhaps next time we'll be able to do it face to face. Who knows?
Who knows, eh? That would be magical. Well, have a great rest of the event, and great to talk to you again.
Cheers. Thanks a lot, Darren. Bye-bye.